So a few little extra tips that I tell my students to do, and we sort of see these come through as HSC markers from time to time. The first one is don't rewrite the question. This is often used to either fill up the time, and in some cases, some markers see it as you don't really know what the question is asking. Another important one that I get my students to do is complete past papers and get them to bring them to me to mark, or if I'm not available or it's during the holidays, is actually accessing the Board of Studies website and using the marking criteria as well that goes with the exam paper. And in some cases, they do have sample answers there for you to have a look at and to see what detail that you need to include with your answers. The next point is know your syllabus. So that's an important one to be aware of. So in all vet subjects, there's usually a Part A and a Part B to the syllabus. Part A is actually where in the primary industry syllabus that we have the HSC outcomes that can be used to ask the questions in the HSC exam. So it's important that if you are sitting the HSC primary industries exam that you get these from your teacher. With primary industries vet, the examination is not compulsory, so you can elect to either sit the exam or not. But even if you have an inclination that you might sit the exam, it's still important that you go through and make sure that you're doing some study for the exam. The next one is to ensure that you have prepared yourself well enough, that you have sufficient notes for the focus areas, and that also too comes before the actual sitting of the exam, making sure that you're not tired and have had plenty of sleep before the exam so that you're at your full potential. Another point, particularly that we find in primary industry, is that a lot of students have trouble with is actually understanding what the verbs mean and sort of including the information that's needed for the answers. So in primary industry, some of the key terms that the key verbs that tend to be used are analyse, evaluate, justify, describe, explain, outline and list. The lower order verbs, students are quite familiar with and know how to use those, but particularly with the higher order ones of justify, evaluate and analyse, a lot of the time students put in the information that they think, but they don't include all the relevant information that they need. So if we're looking at an evaluate question, generally with that you're making a judgment about a particular point, and then you sort of need to go through, once you've done that, so you might do advantages and disadvantages for a particular thing. So one might be looking at weed control. So it's important that you sort of give the advantages and disadvantages of different weed control measures and then do an evaluation at the end of each sort of paragraph to give a reason as to why a farmer may or may not want to use that information. So what you need to do is one other tip is to ensure that your responses are logical and legible. So in terms of the legible, it is making sure that you've written the information neatly and haven't got too much scribble in there as well. So I wish everyone the best of luck in your exams. Use your time wisely and that of your teachers as well.